So to start with, I just want to talk about Pinterest in general a little bit in terms of some of the more advanced or extra things that you might need to be doing beyond just pinning things to your account. In the previous class, we talked about going through the relational boards and pins that are out there and trying to network yourself in that manner. But there's really more that you can do beyond that. One of the main things that I'm referring to has to do with commenting. You can go out there and comment on other people's pins, and people can also comment on your own pins as well. By going out there and engaging in conversations on other people's pins, you can actually help to attract some of their loyal readers over to look at your content and potentially pick them up as a loyal reader for your own website. When you have people that come on and make comments on your pins, though, you want to be sure to take advantage of that opportunity and interact with that person. Respond to what their comment is, even if it's just simply saying thank you. This will get people's attention. It will help them to realize that their loyal support is actually appreciated by you instead of just being another person out there that is liking their information. So this type of engagement, no matter what form it really takes, can help you to build up your presence on Twitter or on Pinterest a little bit more. I keep calling it Twitter for some reason. Now, very similar to Twitter, Pinterest actually has what appears to be hashtags. If you use a number symbol followed by a word or some type of phrase that doesn't include any spaces in it, like you would do for a Twitter hashtag, this can be done on Pinterest in the description of your pins. However, it doesn't work exactly in the same way, and I wanted to make this clear to everybody so they do not accidentally use this. Now, I have unfortunately not had the opportunity to go through and actually pin up all of my existing content here on my Pinterest boards, but this is something that I will be getting around to really soon. However, I just wanted to go into this system, and I could actually use an existing pin, or that might be a little easier. I'll use an existing pin here, or an existing post on my site, and we will pin this up. So let's say you're talking about some kind of product, perhaps, and maybe you use the phrase number one, referring to something, being the best or the most popular, perhaps. This is something that could commonly occur within one of your descriptions fairly easily. And in essence, this is really what a Twitter hashtag is. So it doesn't just have to be the number one. This could be any word that followed after it. It could be carbon fiber, for example. But ultimately, there are some situations where you might use this on accident, and the number one would be a prime example of that. So I'm actually going to pin this to my account so you can see what I'm referring to here. Now notice the number one. This is actually turned into a hyperlink for me. This kind of works just like it does on Twitter for hashtags in terms of, Twitter converts the hashtags into a hyperlink. But this is not the same thing here. If I open up this hyperlink page, it actually takes me to a search page. And what is being searched for is the number 1. So it was whatever I had after the number symbol in my description. It gets turned into a search link for that. So this means that hashtags really don't exist on Pinterest, even though they might appear to exist if you were just browsing through other people's pins or maybe even making your own pins. You might think you were connecting up with other pins in that manner like you would do on Twitter. But the fact is that you're actually not. You may inadvertently link up to content that is not relational to your own content whatsoever, just like I have done here. I've linked up to this search page for the number 1. I end up with some biblical verses because they contain the number 1, references to one day, so on and so forth. Everything in this list is going to either have the word 1 or the number 1 or some kind of reference to that that associates it with this search phrase. So with that said, you could potentially use this to link up some of your pins to other relational content that's out there. But you need to keep in mind what this is going to actually do. It's not really going to help you to gain more exposure. People can find your pins by just searching for words that you're using in your description. So it's really more important for you to be focusing on using the keywords in your description, and don't worry about the hashtags. However, let's say you had something particular that you were posting about, and it was using some kind of unique word or phrase or something. You may be able to use this to link up to other relational posts of your own to increase your exposure in this manner, but it would have to be done very carefully. You might even be able to use it to target some of your own posts by perhaps referring to your website name, or maybe just to particular topics that relate to what you're talking about, just to increase essentially the usefulness of it, even if you're not increasing your own traffic by sending people off to other people's pins. Whether you use it or not is completely up to you, but you at least need to understand how it works here so you don't end up using it unintentionally in a manner that's not going to benefit you or even make your pins confusing like this one has done. So now the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is Pinterest rich pins. There are some pins that don't just have this basic information. They actually contain additional information that relates to the actual web page that the pin is coming from. Now, for Amazon affiliates, this can potentially be useful because one of the types of rich pins that they have is a product rich pin. If you have ever seen a pin on Pinterest that includes a price to go along with it, that is happening because of this rich pin system. And unfortunately, you can't get access to this system freely. It is something that you have to apply for. And the bad news is that they're not really looking for affiliates. What they really want are real websites that are actually selling products themselves. So with that said, I can't guarantee that you're going to get accepted into the system, but there are affiliates out there that get accepted into the system. So it may simply be the luck of the draw, or who you get to review your site possibly. So with that said, this isn't something that you absolutely have to have. It's not going to make or break your success on Pinterest, but it has been shown that the pins that have the price tags to go along with them actually convert into sales quite well. So I at least wanted to teach you this system and provide you with a way that you can set up your own website to be compatible with it. And once it's compatible, then you can validate these rich pins on your own website and finally apply to the rich pin program to see if Pinterest will accept you or not. So what I did was I ended up creating an extra plugin for you guys that is going to create what is necessary on your own website to connect up with this rich pin system. Now, obviously, all the posts that you're making on your site are not about a product. You have other ones that are just articles. And so you may notice here that there is actually an article rich pin as well. So this plugin even includes access to some additional information for your article pins as well. But ultimately, the product pin, if we can get it, is the one that we're really after. So now, how this all works is basically the same way that Facebook and Twitter are working in terms of retrieving information off of the pages of your website and using that to populate the posts that you're making on the social network. So this additional rich pin plugin that I've provided for you guys sets up this additional information that is needed, and it also changes the type of product to an actual product instead of being an article in the appropriate situation. So you have your normal content posts on your site, but then you also have your advertising posts on your site. Well, this plugin is going to be something that you'll use to target the advertising posts that are on your site. So I'm going to be pulling up this plugin here in just a minute to actually show you what you need to do to get this set up and running on your own site so you can then proceed with this validation procedure. But before I do that, I just wanted to talk about some of the things that this plugin is essentially limited in doing. I built it with the intention of it picking up advertisements produced by my product style plugin. Seeing as how that is what I teach, and basically all of my trainees should have access to that plugin, and is likely how you're building your own website, then that was what I wanted to base it on, to be sure that any of your sites that you're making with this plugin will work and be compatible. But ultimately, even though I designed it in that way, it can potentially detect products that are out there that were not created by product style. It looks for the price, essentially, on the page, because that is really the main piece of information that it needs to send over to Pinterest to qualify as one of these product rich pins. Now, the other thing is that it is currently only compatible in US dollars. Most likely, you guys should be creating an Amazon.com affiliate site, even if you are using some of the other Amazon locales. the .com advertisements are likely the base advertisement on your site, where somebody from France comes to your site, it might serve them an ad for Amazon France, and that's quite okay, because obviously your pins would not be done over and over again in each of the different currencies. You would just be posting that one time. So it is only meant to work with Amazon.com products, and obviously those priced in US dollars. However, if you guys do happen to work on some type of project that is not going to be based on Amazon.com products, and you want it to be compatible with some other currency that is supported by Amazon, just let me know, and that is something that I can add into it for you. But I'm pretty sure that that doesn't really apply to anybody in this particular training program. So with that said, this plugin will not only pick up just the price, but it can also pick up both a sale price and a list price. And it's only designed to be looking at one product on your site. So if you have some pages where you're promoting multiple products, you may want to consider putting them in possibly a different category. Make 2 different product ad categories, so you can have one that is just for single products only, because that is what you're going to want to target with this particular plugin. Ultimately, the Pinterest system doesn't really have the support for having multiple products on there. You would basically want to have a separate pin for each of the products. And since you can generate traffic that way, it's a lot better to be building your pages with one product on the page instead of going after a whole bunch of them anyways, to keep everything correctly targeted. That way, if somebody comes in off of Pinterest looking for this product, they don't have to weed through 10 different products to try to find the one that they were actually interested in. So now, even though I had intended this to be used for Amazon affiliate sites, if you also happen to run some type of e-commerce site where you actually do sell your own product on the website, as long as you have the word price and a colon set up before the actual dollar value price of the product, this plugin may even work for e-commerce WordPress websites as well, to be able to convert them into product-rich pins. So now, part of the course material is this plugin. Just go to that page in the membership site and download a copy of this plugin and upload it to your site and go ahead and get it activated. I'm not going to worry about going through that particular system because I know I've shown repeatedly how to install plugins before, and that's pretty basic information, so I won't try to end up wasting your time with that. However, I would like to show you what you need to do with the actual plugin once you get it installed on your site. Over in the sidebar, just look for the Rich Pin link, and this will bring you to this particular page. Now, there are some basic steps up here if you're ever doing this in the future, or maybe you just forget once you actually get along to installing this plugin. There are some basic tutorial steps that can guide you through this process up top here. So basically what you want to do is, for this particular setting, because this is not actually something that's covered up here, this is what you're wanting to do once you have this setting set up. So this setting needs a category placed inside of it. What I'm really referring to is the product advertising category that you have set up on your site. So if you have followed along with this course, then that should be the recommended category. You can use the category slug, which is what I'm using here. You could also use the proper name for it, which is how it would be displayed on your live website. Or you could potentially even use the category ID numbers. If you knew them, you can actually get them off of the categories page here. So any of those will work to identify a category. So what you're doing here is identifying the category where your product ads are. So this plugin can then convert those product ad pages into a page that's compatible with the Pinterest Rich Pin system. Now, if you have multiple ad categories on your site and you needed to specify more than one, all you have to do is put a comma and then type in the name of another one. So, what if I had one just called vinyl, and in addition to the recommended category, I could target both of them like this by simply putting a comma between them. Now, if you don't already know what your category names are called or what the slugs are that you're supposed to be entering in here, you don't necessarily have to go back to the categories page. You can find that information right down here. It's automatically printed out for you. Whatever categories you have on your website will show up down here. So I have the recommended category and I have the vehicles category. Obviously, the vehicles category is for my content post and my recommended category is for my advertising posts. So I put recommended up here and simply save my changes. There's really nothing else that you have to do on your own website at that point in terms of getting this plugin to function. But what you do need to do after you have this setting set up is proceed through these steps to get these rich pins validated on your site, and so you can apply to this program on Pinterest. So first of all, we want to visit our live site and go to one of our product posts. So I already have this up on my page here. I can simply copy the URL from this particular page. Next, I want to go to this page, developers.pinterest.com/richpins/validator. So on this page, all I really need to do is paste my post URL into this text box. Also, make sure you're signed into your Pinterest account already. That's part of this process, but it's kind of assumed. If you're already doing some work here on Pinterest, you should already be signed in. So click on the Validate button after you have set up the plugin and entered in your URL there. Now, this particular page is actually an article page. So if you look down below here, I don't have a price reference on it. However, it does still tell me that my pin is validated. You can either apply through this text link right here on this page, or if you would like to, you can also go and take a look at one of the other types of posts you have on your site. So I could now go to a product page on my site and do the same thing to see how that would look. Well, it's not loading my image for me right now, but it says that's not a problem. It's just because I haven't pinned this particular post on Pinterest yet, and obviously nobody else has either. But if you look down below, it says it's in stock, it says the price tag for it, and it even has this extra link up to the page on my site. So people can easily identify that this is something that's for sale. And so if they want to buy it, they can just travel through to my site and go to complete the purchase. And obviously, I earn the commission for it in that situation. So all you really need to do on your own site is install the plugin, set up your product ad category, save your settings, copy a link from one of your product pages on your own site, and validate it here on this page. Once you've done all that, then you can just click on the Apply Now button. Make sure your website domain name is entered in here, and make sure you have HTML tags selected. There are different data formats that you can actually use to send your product information across to Pinterest for these rich pins. Well, HTML tags is the one that I have set up the plugin to use because that's really the most compatible system with using on a WordPress site. So by default, this information should already be good to go, but you still want to double check it because if any of this is not set up correctly, it can end up messing up your application. This is actually the entire application process right here. All you have to do is then click on the Apply Now button, and they simply let you know that they'll review it and email you with any questions or next steps that you might need to take. Now, I have still not received my approval yet for my own account. However, this is something that, from what I'm reading, could potentially take a few weeks to actually review your application and get back to you one way or another. So make sure you simply monitor your Pinterest account email during that time once you have applied to this system, and just look out for any additional information from them. They might have additional steps for you to follow to actually get in, or they might just send you you're in or you're not in type of email. Now, whenever you get accepted into this system, and again, it's not a huge loss if you don't, because they're unfortunately a bit against affiliates on the Pinterest site. I believe largely because of some unfortunately unscrupulous marketers that came around a few years ago. I don't know if you remember the product that would actually go and pin a bunch of Amazon products to your Pinterest account and use this type of system where it had the prices to go along with it. Well, unfortunately, people abuse the system really heavily like that, and they're just not going to sit back and let that kind of thing happen. So they put measures into place to try to prevent that in the future. Obviously, we're not trying to do something like that here, but unfortunately, those type of situations in the past may affect us going on into the future, even if we had nothing to do with it. So if you can get accepted, it can be a bonus for you, basically. But if you can't get accepted, your normal pins are still going to work out just fine. You can still drive traffic with them that way. But I know a lot of people were curious about how all of this works, and so I wanted you to at least have a shot at getting in instead of just saying, you may or may not get in, so just don't bother with it. Now, one of the final things I would like to teach you guys today, as I said before, today's class is a little shortened because of the lack of an auto-pinning plugin at this current point in time, which I will still be providing for you guys as soon as Pinterest gets their API system properly documented, so people can actually do that the legal way instead of trying to hack their system. which I simply can't pass on to you guys. The last thing I want to teach you here tonight is building your followers off of Pinterest. And I am specifically referring to your Follow Us on Pinterest button for your own site, just like you can see up here at the top of my website. So I have again provided you with the image that you are going to need, and also provided you with the coding that you are going to need to get this set up, at least if you're trying to set it up in the same manner that you see here. There's nothing wrong with, if you happen to be using a different design for your site, trying to put the button somewhere else. So to start with, I need to go into the administration section of my site here. Specifically, I need the widgets page. So go to Appearance and Widgets, and we're going to be working with the header horizontal widget area once again. These are the 4 text widgets I've actually talked about in 2 previous classes now. 2 classes ago in the Twitter class, when we added our Follow Us on Twitter button up top here, we edited the second text widget right here. And we are actually going to be working with that same widget once again. So I actually am using, obviously, the new code here, but I want to transform this for you for just a moment and actually turn it back into the code that you should already have on your own site. Okay, so if you already have your Twitter button set up, you should have code that essentially looks like this, except for, obviously it would be pointing to your Twitter account and using a link to your own Twitter image that you have uploaded on your site. The point in this code that we are really interested in today is actually this part right here. If I kind of split up the div tags onto separate lines, I'm interested in this one right here. Div style is equal to height 70 pixels, and then there's a closing div tag, and this is actually just a space. Ampersand NBSP just represents a space. Well, this entire line right here is actually the line that I want to be replacing with new code that is going to handle this Pinterest button for me. So I've provided you guys with 2 different text files as part of this particular lesson. The first one is the Pinterest code. This is actually all of the code that will be replacing this particular line here in our existing code. However, we first need to edit this code, just like we did with our Twitter code. We need to replace anything that's in all capital letters here with the appropriate information for our own account and our own website. So up here, I am replacing this with my Pinterest username. So this will be carbon fiber wrap. Next up, I have replaced with my Pinterest image URL. This Pinterest image URL is something that you will need to upload to your own site just simply go to Media and go to Add New. Take the image that you have downloaded from the course material for this class and then upload it to your site there. Then look for the Edit button. There will be a little Edit text link off to the right after you upload that picture, and it will bring you to the page that you are seeing here on my site. And the part you're really interested in is this file URL. So you just want to select this entire URL, make sure you get all the way to the end of it, and copy this. And then we are going to use that in our code right here, replace with our Pinterest image URL. So this will point to the image we've uploaded on our own website. And finally, replace with our website name down below here. I usually just do carbonfanatic.com, so it says follow carbonfanatic.com on Pinterest. Now that we have all of this code edited, we simply select it all and copy it, and then we take it back over to our widget. Now we want to select this entire line with the opening and the closing div tag with the space in between it. And we want to replace that entire line with the new code that we have just created. Then simply save this into your site and go to your live page to take a look at it. Now, obviously, this doesn't make any change on my own website because I already had it in place ahead of time. Now, I also provided you with a second batch of code. This one that is labeled final code, which is actually on the course material page also referred to as example number 3, and even in the guidebook as well. This code is the entire code for this text widget right here, but it includes everything. So if you were going through and creating your site from scratch or another site in the future, maybe you're a little bit behind on these classes and you haven't set up the Twitter button yet, you can use this one chunk of code for both of them. As you can see, it has the Pinterest code in here, and it also has the Twitter code. You would simply just need to replace the relevant portions of that code that are in all capital letters, just like I walked you through a moment ago with the Pinterest code. Do that for Pinterest, do it again for Twitter, and then you can take all this code and paste it in to your text widget to use. Now, during the next Azon Masterclass, we're going to be moving away from social networks finally and getting into 4 more classes in this series where I'm going to teach you guys some other tactics that you can use that can be really useful in combination with the type of site that you're building. And the first of these is going to be newsletter marketing. I'm going to be doing some introductory training for 2 different services, both Aweber and GetResponse. I actually use both of them personally on almost a daily basis and have been doing so for many years now. And I've used them in a lot of different ways, so I'm going to be passing along some of these strategies to you guys to use in combination with your Amazon affiliate sites. So I'm kind of looking forward to those particular classes. I think you will find them pretty interesting as well. And again, I will eventually get the auto pinning plugin for you guys once Pinterest has everything properly documented with their API system, so I can actually give you guys a reliable product that's not gonna, break on you a couple months down the road. ultimately, any other solution that I could put together for you right now would be something like that. I would have to essentially write a script that, would hack into the front end of Pinterest and, automatically log you into your account and, do your posts for you. And ultimately that's considered a bot in Pinterest's eyes and is simply not allowed. So I can't go for that particular solution, and there is definitely going to be a solution on the way for this. It looks like it's getting pretty close to. I just need that documentation so I can actually program that plugin for you guys, or at least the final parts of it. It's really more than 50% done already. I just need Pinterest to come along and do their part so I can get the relevant code so it can all be connected up properly. So additional training and also that additional plugin will be provided for you guys as soon as humanly possible.